They remove the skin from the finger before sliding it over their own hand. Then it's pressed onto ink, giving a clear fingerprint. You see, after death, the skin can get too loose to use. So examiners just gently remove it and place it over their own gloved finger. This gives them a usable print from a decomposing corpse so they can identify the body. If you slice them in half and tape them together like this, you can then cut a window into the box so you can see inside. So when you place them on top, they fill the window perfectly. And if you pinch the box gently, they'll stay in place. Now, when you show your friends, it looks like a normal box of crowns. But when you wave your other hand in front of the box and release the pressure from your fingers, the halves will drop down out of sight, making it look like they vanished into thin air. His house was in the way of the new road. They needed to bulldoze it. So they offered him over $200,000, but he refused. So they built the road around his house instead. They buried a concrete pipe that connected his house with the outside world, meaning the only way in or out was through a tunnel. But cars passed by all day and night, surrounding the house with noise, and large trucks made the whole thing shake. So he finally moved out and regretted not taking the money. The edges are shaved down and it's slotted into a wooden frame. In wet weather, this wood expands, pressing further into the slots. And when it dries out, it shrinks, but not so much that it falls out. Since the frame locks it in at the corners, the wood can't really warp. And when these panels make up a door, they can move around freely as the weather changes. You see, if the door was made of only one big piece of wood, the whole thing would warp as the weather changed, which is why they use these panels instead. You can scroll on your phone or work on the assignment. Most people choose the phone, but it's not just because scrolling is more entertaining. It's because it delivers effortless attention. We're immediately locked in, and our brains love this. Scrolling immerses you in seconds, and assignments, well, they feel like they take forever to get going. But if you commit, remove distractions, and give the assignment the same attention you give scrolling, you'll be surprised at how locked in you feel within just 10 minutes. You would tap the pen against the car and pull it away to reveal a colored rating. Inside the pen is a long magnet. When it's pressed against a brand new car, only a thin layer of paint separates the metal from the magnet. This makes the magnet stick for longer, as the rest of the pen pulls up higher to reveal a green rating. But if the car was badly damaged and patched up with putty, the pen barely sticks at all, showing a black rating and letting you spot hidden repairs in just seconds. Remove the cards from the box and slit the bottom flap before flattening it, rolling it up, and stuffing it into the bottle. Use long tweezers to pop the box back open, while reshaping it to look normal. Next, bend a playing card to fit through the bottleneck and into the card box. Keep repeating this until the entire deck is gone, and when you're done, you can show all of your friends the deck in the bottle. Turn one of the sticks over to cross the strings. Next, thread a stick under the strings so that each end rests on top of the other sticks. And do the same on the other side. Keep adding shorter and shorter sticks, building up the squares until you run out of space. Then add a row of small sticks to keep everything tight. And when you turn it over and add a rope handle, you'll have a homemade basket made out of sticks. She picked up a strange rock from the stream and used it as a doorstop. It sat there for decades, and even when thieves broke in and stole her jewelry, they walked right past it. After she died, her relative found the rock and showed it to experts. They confirmed it was amber, formed from tree sap millions of years ago. It weighed over 7 pounds, making it one of the biggest ever found. And when the government bought it, they made it a national treasure, worth over $1 million. He captured the queen, but secretly kept it in his hand, and his opponent was so focused on the board that he didn't even notice. They continued playing the championship game, and eventually the other player's pawn reached the opposite side of the board, which meant he could upgrade it to a queen. But according to the tournament's rules, he needed the actual queen to replace it, and since he couldn't find it, he could only promote it with the rook, giving his enemy an unfair advantage. He filled a long tube with water in his front yard, and he added more tubes until his entire house was surrounded. Then floodwater began to rush into the neighborhood. Other homes were damaged, but at his house, the gallons of water in the tubes made them incredibly heavy, too heavy for the water to push through. The flood hit the barrier and flowed around it instead. When it finally ended, nearby homes were destroyed, but his house stood dry, saved by water holding back water. The bees are locked inside while air from a suspicious bag is blown past their faces. You see, these bees were trained by giving them sugar every time they smelled explosives. And over time, their brains learned to connect that smell with food. So when they detect explosives in an air sample, they automatically stick out their tongues because they think they're getting food. Inside the detectors, cameras watch for that tiny movement, and software counts how many bees react, meaning if enough tongues appear at once, the system flags the bag as a bomb. Place the coffee pod in, but don't start it. Fill it with water, set your mug underneath, and go to bed. Now, in the morning, it's almost like you have a butler making your life easier. When you get to work, back into the parking space. Put up your sunshade so the car stays cool, and grab any loose trash on your way out. After work, your life gets just a little bit easier because of your butler. And if you keep doing this, soon you'll be meal prepping for the week and saving money for trips with ease, all because you're pretending to be a butler for your future self. As the glove hit his face over and over, his father watched suspiciously. The damage on his son's face didn't look normal, so after the fight, he ran over and grabbed the winner's hand. The gloves felt too thin, like there was no padding inside. He held on to the boxer and yelled for the officials, and they discovered the padding had been taken out from little holes on each glove. But his son's vision was already permanently damaged, meaning he could never box again. The boxer and his trainer were sentenced to prison and banned from boxing. They eventually admitted that they did take out the padding and even hardened it with plaster, all just to hurt the opponent. They sealed up the pizza and left it for several weeks. After that, the researchers checked to see if it was still good. Next, they topped the pizza with salami, which doesn't mold as fast as pepperoni, and they sprinkled it with extra salt and spices. Then they vacuum sealed it and placed it inside a rocket with the Pizza Hut logo. It flew hundreds of miles above Earth to the International Space Station, delivering the world's first space pizza. If you pour oil down your sink, it flows into the sewer, and as it cools down, the fat molecules pack tightly together and cause it to harden. When it mixes with wet wipes and tampons, it creates giant rock-hard blockages that can back up your sink with sewage. Instead, put paper towels into an empty jar, then pour your fat on top. The paper will soak it up, and once it cools, it will turn hard, so you can just dump it in the trash. As the axe sinks into the wood, hidden metal wings catch the inside of the cut, forcing them to swing outward. As the axe keeps driving down, the wings press hard against both sides of the log, and that pressure pries the crack sideways, splitting the log open faster than normal. Then small springs pull the wings back inside the axe head, ready for the next swing. The monkey grabbed his camera and accidentally took a selfie. When the photographer posted it, the picture quickly went viral. But an animal rights group sued the photographer, claiming the monkey was the one who took the picture. So technically, the monkey should own the rights. The court ruled that animals can't own copyrights, but the group refused to back down. So the photographer donated part of the earnings to help protect the monkey's species, and the case was finally dismissed. They wheeled their father into the hospital. His children followed behind, crying. You see, for years, the disease had been taking his mind. He barely recognized his own kids. Then, suddenly, he sat up in the hospital bed, looked around the room, and recognized everyone. His children rushed to his side. They hugged him, they talked, they even laughed together again. And for a moment, it felt like they had their father back. Now, scientists don't know what causes it, but this small burst of energy only comes when a patient is close to the end. It gives them a small window of time to reunite with their loved ones before they die soon after. As it shot, the tank would literally hop around the battlefield, and the pilot would steer it with a joystick, using a powerful engine to blast the pole up and down. 6 gunners would line each side, blasting enemies from every direction. But every hop would violently shake the crew, and if the ground was uneven, the pole would just sink into the dirt, tipping the whole thing over, meaning it was never actually made. If you slice a circle into 8 pieces and try putting them together to make a rectangle, the edges would be way too wavy. But if you sliced them smaller and smaller to infinity and slide the pieces together, it would become a true rectangle. Now, the height would line up perfectly from the edge of the circle to the center, matching the radius of r. Now, the circle's edge is 2 times pi times r. Half of that is pi times r. So now you have a rectangle with sides r and pi times r. Multiply them together and you get pi times r squared, which is the same area as the circle. Twist out the stem, then press the base of both thumbs deep into the small stem cavity. Then wrap your fingers tightly around the apple and squeeze hard with your fingers. Hold that pressure and roll your thumbs outward. This causes your fingers to compress the apple from the sides while your thumbs pry the top apart. As you increase pressure, a tiny crack forms in the stem pocket and the apple splits cleanly in half. He strapped on a pair of giant metal penguin feet. Then he walked across the beach at night. By morning, confused locals found the footprints and believed that they were from a 15-foot penguin. Some people claimed they saw it, while news stories made headlines across the country. Now, the prints kept appearing for years, and scientists eventually studied them, with some insisting that they were real animal tracks. But decades later, the man confessed that it was a trick just to fool everyone. When it senses movement, a drone lifts off, and it follows a pre-recorded flight path through your house, taking a video of everything around it to check for intruders. So instead of security cameras in every room, one drone checks them all, then stops recording once it's done. But it does capture everything inside your home and stores that information online, which is why some people avoid it. The judge told the man that he would be executed next week, but he didn't tell him which day. He said it would be a complete surprise, and if the man wasn't surprised, well, he wouldn't be executed. Now, the man knew if he was still alive on Thursday night, then the only day left to be executed would be Friday, which means it couldn't be Friday, because he would know. But now that Friday is impossible, if he were still alive on Wednesday night, then the execution day would have to be Thursday, meaning he would know. So it couldn't be Thursday either. This same logic erased every single day in the week, meaning the execution could not happen at all. This put the man at ease as he relaxed in his prison cell. But on Wednesday morning, the guards grabbed him to be executed. He was shocked. This didn't make sense. And that's when he realized. Once he convinced himself that it wasn't going to happen, he was surprised when it actually did. Place 2 boards on either side of the pipe and draw a straight line across the front of both boards. Next, push them together to connect the lines and line a ruler against each side of the pipe to sketch a box around it. After that, draw a diagonal line from one corner and repeat this on the other side, creating an X in the center. Then tie a string to a pencil, pinning the other end to the X, and spin it to trace a perfect circle. Once you cut it out, the boards will fit perfectly around the pipe. She was born without a muscle above her eye, meaning she couldn't blink. So doctors lifted her eyelids and threaded a small sling under her skin. That sling was attached to her eyebrow muscle. So when she raises her eyebrows, the sling pulls her eyelids open. And when she relaxes the muscles, her eyelids shut, giving her a way to blink. But her eyes still looked different. And growing up, she was bullied for it, until she shared her story online and finally found support. The pilot is strapped on top of the glider, and a jet engine sends it along the runway for launch. Then, the 31-foot wings allow the aircraft to glide without power. The pilot shifts his body weight, which moves a set of controls attached to the wings. And when it runs out of speed, he brings it down, using the wheels to land safely. Now, the design was actually from a popular anime, and the pilot loved it so much, he had it built himself. These 2 islands are so close that when the ocean freezes, you can walk between them in about an hour. But if you started on Friday at noon, you would arrive to the other one on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And if you walked back, it would suddenly be Friday again. You see, as the Earth rotates, the sun hits different places at different times. So somewhere on Earth, today is always ending while tomorrow is already beginning. So to keep everyone on the same page, a line was drawn across Earth, marking where the calendar flips to a new day. And these 2 islands sit on opposite sides of that line, close enough to walk, but almost an entire day apart. The trigger is pulled, the bullet is fired, and the casing expands, which traps it inside the chamber. So, a hook-shaped piece of metal is attached to the bolt, and when the bolt is pushed forward, this hook slides under the casing, catching onto a special groove at the end. As it pulls back, it brings the casing with it, but it can't stay inside the gun, which is where this spring-loaded arm comes in handy, clearing the gun for the next round. The dog was placed inside a wheel attached to the ceiling, and as it ran, the spinning wheel turned a rod. This rod slowly rotated meat over open flames, cooking it evenly. And these dogs were bred on purpose to have long bodies and short legs, so they were heavy enough to turn the wheel while still being able to fit inside. But the work was exhausting, so some kitchens kept 2 dogs and swapped them when one got too tired. But machines eventually replaced the wheel, meaning the dogs weren't needed anymore, and the breed eventually disappeared. As you play scissors, a high-speed camera films your hand, watching for tiny changes in your fingers. As soon as they begin to form the shape, a computer program signals to the robot to play rock, and the hand forms its own move, all within a split second. But since it's way too fast for the human eye, it looks like you're playing at the same time. So, no matter what you play or how fast you move, the robot will win every single game. He pried it out from the dirt and thought someone had left a piece of glass as a prank, but it was actually the largest diamond ever found, about the size of a human fist. Diamond cutters studied the stone for months before cutting it, because one wrong move could shatter the whole thing. When he was finally ready, he placed his blade and struck it, and the blade broke. He got a new blade, tried again, and this time it worked. He and his team spent months cutting it into 9 major stones and nearly 100 smaller ones. The biggest piece was placed in a royal scepter, and from that single stone came jewels fit for royalty. They would test the game over and over as they created it, but passing each level would take too long during these tests. So they would add special codes, and pressing certain button combinations gave them a bunch of power-ups, testing difficult levels without having to struggle the whole time. But when the game was released, those codes were still written in, meaning if a player discovered them, they could cheat. Eventually, developers added them on purpose, which is why you can call a certain number in GTA and suddenly get a free helicopter. If you pushed the Leaning Tower of Pisa with enough force, could you actually straighten it out? Well, as the tower was being built, one side actually began to sink into the ground. So builders tried to fix it by making the upper floors taller on one side, adding a permanent curve to the top to even out the lopsided base. So if you forced the base upright today, the top would no longer be centered over it. The weight would hang off to the side, and gravity could pull the whole thing down. They would wave branches beside the car while giant lamps light it inside the studio, making shadows that look like trees passing by. And fans are aimed into the open windows to blow the actor's hair like the wind. 2 people rock the car back and forth, and behind it, a giant LED screen plays a video of the road. So when you look through the camera, it seems like the car is actually driving. Wrap the dry noodles tightly around a pair of chopsticks, then hold them lifted above a pot of hot oil and carefully spoon that oil over them. This causes the outside strands to fry first, turning the surface stiff and crisp. As you keep spooning more oil, more strands harden and lock together, fusing into one rigid shell. Then let it cool and the noodles should hold their shape. As he strummed, he used his right foot to press the frets and change the chords. You see, he was born without arms, but when he was a kid, his dad found an old guitar. He brought it home for him to use, and he learned how to use his feet to play. He started performing at the local park, and his story went viral. And soon enough, the man who played with his feet was playing for crowds around the world. The dogs would poop in the streets, and soon the city was covered in it. So officials set up special checkpoints, and anyone who handed in poop was given a lottery ticket. Citizens rushed to pick up the poop, collecting over 14,000 bags of it. And when the raffle was drawn, the winner received a bar of real gold, all because she turned in poop. He stacked together the frame out of aluminum and wire before lining it with golden fireworks to build a ladder over 1,000 feet tall. Then he tied the top to a massive helium balloon and let it slowly rise into the air. You see, he tried to make this ladder for decades, and whenever he failed, his grandmother cheered him on. But now that she was dying, he knew that he had to give it one last shot. He lit the fuse, letting the fire climb up the wires and into the fireworks. It burned up the metal frame and created a glowing ladder up to the heavens. After finally seeing his ladder light up the sky, his grandmother passed away shortly after. Clip the actor to a rope in front of a green screen and set up 100 cameras around her. When she jumps, the rope is pulled to hold her weight. At the same time, a button triggers the cameras, causing each one to take a photo in sequence while she kicks the other actor. And when the photos are put together and special effects are added, it looks like a single video, showing a super slow motion kick right to the face. Claire took the new weight loss pill, excited to finally get rid of her hunger. She celebrated over a pizza dinner with her family, but her plate remained empty. Her appetite had vanished. She finally felt in control. Within just a few days, the weight melted off. But then, the real change started to hit. Pancakes smelled like vomit. Homemade meals made her gag. Even water tasted rotten. She tried to quit the pills, but even after she stopped, her body still reacted like everything was poison. Just the thought of food made her panic. Doctors told her the medication had connected the thought of food with being poisoned. It couldn't be undone, and it was happening to everyone who had taken it. After months of being on a feeding tube, she finally got the news. A second pill had hit the market, offering 24 hours of relief. She cried as she finally enjoyed dinner with her family, and every bite was better than she ever remembered. But within a day, the pharmacies were out of the new medication. People ended up fighting over the pills in the streets. One night, Claire dragged herself to a pharmacy. It was already filled with others like her. Rummaging through the medications scattered on the floor, she grabbed a handful of mixed pills and swallowed, desperately hoping that something in there would bring her hunger back. He invented a secret salute for his students and made them recite a class motto over and over. Soon, other students got curious and started sneaking into his class, and he handed out membership cards to this secret club. But some were marked with an X, meaning they had to snitch on others. Those who questioned the teacher were taken out of the class by guards, but new students kept joining the movement. And by the end of the week, over 200 attended a rally, saluting the teacher while banners hung from the ceiling. But suddenly, a video played with images of Nazis blindly following orders. And the teacher explained that this was all an experiment to show them how easy it is to become a Nazi. They fill up the base of the cone, then hold it close to the nozzle to make the first bump. Next, they drop it down until the second bump is formed. And when the soft serve slows down, they flick their wrist while rotating the cone, leaving a curl on top. This started because the old machines accidentally made this curl, and it quickly became part of the Dairy Queen brand. But modern machines don't do it anymore, so the employees make the signature curl by hand. If you stuck a slice of bread onto a metal pole and dangled it around in a lightning storm, you might think a lightning bolt could toast it perfectly. But the lightning would travel down the pole, charring the bread in less than a second and electrocuting you as well. Now, if you somehow attached a giant pole to a power bank, you could capture some of the energy, which you could then use to power a toaster that could toast over 20,000 slices of bread. Inside, two tiny nozzles slide into each ear canal. One sends in a warm stream of cleaning fluid through super tiny holes near the tip. The fluid loosens wax packed deep inside, swirling it into the stream. Then another channel sucks the liquid back out of your ear, pulling the wax with it before the liquid ever reaches the eardrum. A small pump inside the headset keeps the flow steady and controlled, while a vacuum collects the dirty fluid into a sealed reservoir, leaving your ear canals completely cleaned. She picked up the wandering turtle and threw it into a pond, thinking she had just saved it. But when she posted the video online, people were outraged. You see, the animal she picked up had flat feet. This meant it was built for walking on land, meaning this wasn't actually a turtle, it was a tortoise. And since a tortoise can't swim like a turtle, well, I'll let you guess what happened. Now, she felt terrible and told everyone the tortoise had crawled back out alive. But since she never posted a video of this, well, people were skeptical. The man was sentenced to the death penalty, but he was too fat for the injection to work properly. You see, he had gained over 200 pounds in prison, so instead of just one needle, they might have needed hundreds of them, meaning he would suffer a long, painful death. The governor stepped in to change his sentence, and even though he was given life in prison instead, he ended up dying from health issues 7 months later. When the roller coaster drops, your intestines float up as the rest of you falls down. And as the ride goes on, you would feel like your organs are moving out of place until you finally come to a stop. You see, your intestines are pretty loosely held inside your body. So when you start to fall, your organs lag behind because they aren't rigidly attached. This creates a split second of near weightlessness, which makes the nerves around them blast signals up to your brain, giving you the feeling that your stomach has dropped. They grew the brain cells on a tiny chip, then the chip connected the cells to a simple version of Pong. When the cells moved the paddle and hit the ball, the system sent back a reward. But when they missed the ball, the system gave them a punishment. Over time, this feedback caused the cells to change how they moved the paddle, and they started hitting the ball more often, proving that brain cells outside of a body can still learn.
চুপ একদম চুপ 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 একদম চুপ ওর প্রেমে তো মায়া পড়বই পড়বো মায়া পড়বো আমার সত্যি কথা বলছি মামা দূরে দূরে থাকে কাঁচায় ধরা দেয় না বাবা আপনি মহান বাবা
আচ্ছা আপনার কি মনে হয় না যে আপনি যাকে ভালোবাসেন আপনি যে মেয়েটাকে এত ভালোবাসেন
আমি তোর ভাবির বাসার সামনে তুই তাড়াতাড়ি লাগা দে তাবিজে লাগা দে
আপনাদের তো চিনলাম না আমার বড় বোনের যে দেবরগুলো আছেন তো সবাইকেই চিনি বাট আপনাদেরকে তো চিনি না
যাইতে দে তাহলে আমার খালা লাগে কোথায় বলতা ভালোবাসা যে এত প্যারা এত কষ্ট এত জ্বালা যন্ত্রণা জানলে ভালোই বাসতাম জিসান আর তুলির ভালোবাসার ইতিহাস তাই রক্ত লাগবে দোস্ত
আসসালামু আলাইকুম দুলা ভাই
আরে শালা ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম কি খবর কেমন আছো
গলায় দড়ি লাগাই দিছে ভাবি
গলায় দড়ি দিছে মানে গলায় কেন রেখেছেন আমাকে
কি খবর তোমাদের কেমন আছো তোমরা সবাই ভালো তো না তুমি জানো তোমায় কালকে তো কতবার কল দিছি
হ্যালো আসসালামু আলাইকুম
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম
কি রে হৃদয় রিন মানা করতেছি
কিছু না কিছু ভাবি আপনি জানেন আমি একবার অসুস্থ হয়ে গেছিলাম ও আমাকে রক্ত দেয়নি আর আজকে আপনাকে রক্ত দিয়ে চিঠি লিখছে
আমাকে বুকিং দিছে মানে আমাকে কে বুকিং দিছে দোস্ত তোর যে আশিক আছে না এখন তো আমার পিছনে লাগছে
এই এই দুলা ভাই সামনে থাকলে যে সালাম দিতে হয় আপনি শিখাই না করে কেমন আছো তুমি
ভালো
আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবো না রক্তটা দিবি তুই
আমি কেন রক্ত দেবো প্রেম খরচ তুই রক্ত।
আমার বন্ধু জিসান আপনাকে অনেক ভালোবাসে ভাবি, আপনার ওর রক্ত যাওয়াটা বিধা হতে দিবেন না ভাবি। 073421924 এটা তোমার নাম্বার না?
জি জি, আপনি কেমন আছেন?
ভালো নেই, আমি ভালো নেই। আমিও তোর মতোই ভাবতেছি, রক্ত যদি দিঠা যায়, রক্তটা আপনার কাছে এইটা আমার লাস্ট রিকোয়েস্ট ভাবি।
আচ্ছা
কখন আসবে তোদের ভাবি? আর ভালো লাগতেছে না আমার, সে যে কেন এলো।
কবিতা লিখতে হইব, কয় লাইন লেখছস দে, নাহলে কিন্তু আমি তোকে পিটা মুতে তাদের
লাগবে হইব না ভাই, এটা স্যার আপনি যেটা করবেন এটা করবো, কনফার্ম খারাপই করে কিন্তু কবিতা লিখতে পারবো না।
কোনো মাপ নাই।
এটা পড়ে আপনার প্রেমে পুরো উপ করে পড়ে যাবো গা।
আর তোর
আপনি পারবেন ভাই, আপনি পারবেন।
এত কিছু ফালানোর সিস্টেম জানোস, আর প্রেমে ফালানোর সিস্টেম জানোস না, কথা তো একেবারে ফালায় দেওয়ার মতো না। তাকে যদি তোরা গুলিও করস, আগে সালামটা দিয়ে নে।
আপনার ছেলেকে আমার এত পছন্দ হয়েছে যে আমি তো বিয়েতে রাজি হয়ে গেছি।
বছরও পড়বো না।
আমি তোমাকে চ্যালেঞ্জ দিলাম, তুমি যদি 7
মাস্তানি মুস্তানি অপরাধ, এই 7 দিন খালি খাবি। আর
এরকম পট্টি দিয়ে রাখছস কেন?
আমি চাই এই মহৎ কাজটার সাথে আপনি থাকেন। হ্যাঁ, আমাদেরকে 100
দুনিয়ার খাসা বেড়া। হ্যাঁ, আরে বেড়া বড় ভাইয়ের মধ্যে একটা বড় ভাই মানে টুকুর।
কিন্তু ছাপাই না, সব মাথার ভিতরে থাকে। যখন পড়তে ইচ্ছা করে মাথা, আমি জানো ওরে বাপ করে দেব। আর আমি কি কমো জানো, তবু তানিয়া ভালো কেমনে বেটা, কস না কেন, বেটা
তোমার আমি আসল ফুল গাতে আচ্ছা করে বুঝতেছি।
গর্জন করলেই সবকিছু অর্জন হয় না, বুঝছস?
শুধু ভাত কেন?